I want to keep my kids at home with me for as long as possible because I want to be the ones to teach them all the things they need to know and raise them because they're my children. And we've almost had to figure this new way of parenting out where we're showing love and empathy and understanding and thinking of their emotions and their mental well-being while still holding firm boundaries and properly parenting and giving them structure and the consequences and discipline that kids need. And it's like, it's such a difficult thing to try to balance the two. The mental load of being a mom is like running a marathon just in that. It's the invisible things that us moms do that nobody else sees. Being a mom is hard AF. Like it is challenging. It is exhausting. It is thankless. When I go on social media and I see all of these amazing things that other moms are doing, I get mom guilt and I get the comparisonitis and I start to feel crappy about myself. I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not spending enough time with my kids. So today I really wanted to again pull back the curtain because I'm all about transparency. I will always be about that. So I think when we can talk a little bit more about like what are some things that go on behind the scenes for us? How are we handling them? What do we even see? Because we work with a lot of women. We talk to a lot of women. So I think when we can really open up the conversation about how truly difficult it is to be a mom and that it is okay, I think is going to be great for everybody.
I am never going to win the Mother of the Year award. I promise. That's a thing. I know. When the kids were younger, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to do this differently this year, right? Like those New Year's resolutions, like I'm not going to scream at my kid before they get out of the house every day, right? So we do that. We have that like mom guilt. And then, it'd be the first day back to school and I'd be like, oh, that lasted. Well, it did, right? When they were wee, I stopped comparing myself and I do have these harder conversations. Now my kids are older, right? It's like, I appreciate that you don't like my rules. I appreciate that you don't like the boundaries. And I appreciate that you don't like the way I parent sometimes. Guess what, kiddo? You get to do your own. So start taking notes of what you don't like and refine yourself because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm my mother.
And you wanna know what? Aren't we always a better parent before we become parents? I remember being like, "Oh, when I'm a mom, my kids are gonna eat so well because I'm a nutritionist. When I'm a mom, they're not gonna use screens." Chris, you're gonna laugh at this. I remember thinking, "I wanna keep my kids at home with me for as long as possible because I wanna be the ones to teach them all the things they need to know and raise them because 'cause they're my children."
Because it is mumming at this point. It is the hardest job in life. It is the only job that does not come with an operational manual. You do what the past gave you,
Exactly. You can only go by how you were parented.
right? Like, I think I have more rules for my kids than my parents had for me.
See, I'm not at that age of teens yet because thinking back on my childhood, like my mom was phenomenal, my stepdad phenomenal. I can see parts of my parenting in my mom where I'm very firm. If I say no, I mean no. If this is what's made for dinner, this is what's made for dinner. My mom did have a lot of those firm boundaries. She's also very loving and kind and caring. But I'm really interested to see how I parent as a teen, knowing how my mom parented me as a teen. Because I
Yes.
feel like that's where her and I butt heads a lot, where I have 3 brothers, 2 older stepbrothers, 1 younger brother, and because I'm the only girl, I was treated much differently than my 3 brothers. They were allowed to stay out late, they could come home drunk, they could drink, but, like, I'd be like, "Mom, can I stay out till, like, 11? Mark's gonna drive me home. Oh, we're just going tobogganing at Dan and Chris's house," who, like, she knows all of these people. She's like, "Nope, you're home at 9:30. I want you in this door."
See, these are those mom struggles. I live it. I'm at the point where I don't care who's around. I really don't care who's around. The girls had 3 rules. That's it. Real big ones when they were younger. Don't embarrass the family was number 1. When I say assemble, you hold hands and you come to me. And the other thing is if you don't like the rules, you still have to apply them. That's what it was. And people are like, "What do you mean about embarrassing the family?" And I'm like, "Yeah, when you leave this house, you need to adopt and foster the core values of what you've been taught. You don't put your elbows on the table. You don't sit with your knee up at the table. You don't sit on the table."
Manners are huge for us. Well, because both my husband and I were raised with manners as a core, like, value. I feel like when Jackson turned 8, it was probably one of our more challenging years. I know we have more to come, but this is where, like, they're not a little kid anymore, but they don't have the maturity of a big kid. There's been instances where he's made poor decisions, and I'm like, "Buddy," I now say this to him, "Before you go to do something, your friend has asked you to do something they think is funny. I want you to think to yourself, what would my mom say if I did this? And then proceed with what you think I would do." And he's like, "Yeah, you would have said no." Then it's a no.
It's not even realistic. They're their own little beings, right? They get taunted, they get teased, and they don't like judgment.
Yeah, I'm like, "Where is this eye rolling coming from? Where is this talking back? Where is this no?" Like, the attitude, I was like, "Yo, this attitude, I wanna, like, rip your tongue out sometimes. It's so
Mhm.
bad."
And I mean, they also learn it from us too. Like,
That's true. I do see
often,
myself and husband in our kids.
Steve and I have said to one another, "We probably should have done better parenting," and then we judged ourselves.
It's the shame and the guilt. Can we pull that back? 'Cause I'm actually curious about this question for you. So, for me, I was 25 when I got pregnant. We had just gotten married less than a year before. We didn't plan on having kids anytime soon. I got pregnant with Jackson very unexpectedly, and when I had him, I was 26, and up until pretty much when I got pregnant, we were still very much in that party phase. We were going out every Thursday, Friday night. We were drinking, we were going to raves, like, we were going to festivals, like, we are still living that young life, and then all of a sudden, boom, you become a parent. And I found it extremely difficult to become a mom. And I think because you see all of this Hallmark storybook, movies and television, it's like you're handed the baby, you're instantly in love, you're instantly obsessed, you're so happy and everything's so grand and great. And I didn't have that experience. And I actually was the first of our friends to have a baby. So I, one, didn't have that experience right away. I started to feel guilty. I didn't have anyone to reference things by. And you felt shame because I'm like, when I had a newborn, I'm like, "I love this baby, of course, but I hate being a mom. I don't enjoy this." I was also dealing with, postpartum depression, and I struggled a lot. I also looking back now, I can see that I was struggling with my own, like, childhood demons, and it probably took me like, even ask Frank, he'll be like, "Yeah, she did not enjoy being a mom for probably the first 2.5 years." And I felt really guilty about that because I thought there's something wrong with me. How did you feel?
I didn't want children, but the universe had different plans for me. I didn't have children till I was 30. So I was out of that like big partying stage. I didn't want to have to go through the struggles of everything or, you know what I mean? Like, oh, am I going to turn the lights on or am I going to feed my child? Am I
Mhm.
going to do the car payment or am I going to do this? At the end of the day, yeah, I had one and then I had another and then I had another as if it was like marathon because they were 3.5 years apart. I don't know what the urgency was, but again, it's what we talk ourselves into. And I said, "Oh, if they're the same sex, it'd be so wonderful because they can share the clothes, they'll still be in style, they'll be all be besties." Pardon. Then you get an Aries and a Leo, and then you realize that no, you are going to play referee the rest of your life, right? So even if the kids don't get along, and they don't, they'll be like, you like this person more and you favor that person more. I really don't get involved in it. I'm like, do I need to call emergency services? Then this is not a mom thing. This is between you and your sister. I will be taking a back seat. I will be getting the popcorn ready. I will be getting the drinks ready. I will be, or I'll be leaving, depending on the severity of it.
It's hard, right? It's so, so difficult, and I feel like, especially with our generations, Chris, is like we're the first generations that have had access to that different style of parenting, right? Because all of the generations that came before us, it was, a very specific way of parenting, and we've almost had to figure this new way of parenting out where we're showing love and empathy and understanding and thinking of their emotions and their mental well-being while still holding firm boundaries and properly parenting and giving them structure and the consequences and discipline that kids need, and it's like, how are you it's such a difficult thing to try to balance the 2.
What about our own mental multitasking? Remembering the appointments, the grocery list, the kids' emotions, right? School needs, meal planning, cleaning the house. I mean, the car. I would like to get into a car and not stick to it. Is that so hard to ask? Right? Because that comes with the invisible guilt that you're talking.
It does, right? There's a few ways we go here. We all have that invisible guilt as I'm not doing enough, I'm not spending enough time with them, and especially if you're a working mom, like, being a working mom's a whole 'nother beast because, again, you're having that guilt. You and I work from home, so we are at our office 24/7. It's like, was I on my phone too much? Sometimes I'll be in the kitchen and I'll be responding to my email here, "Mom, mom, 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 mom," no and sometimes I'll snap, I'll be like it happened yesterday, I was in the middle of something, I had a long day, and I snapped on both the kids, and I'm like, "Why are you snapping on them? They just it wasn't their fault that you're in a crappy mood." And so, like, I do catch myself, and afterwards, I went and apologized, said, "Mommy shouldn't have snapped like that. That wasn't a you issue." So I do I do always, if I make the wrong decision in parenting, I go and talk to my kids after and explain why it wasn't. because I think it's that guilt, that shame that we're not doing enough, we don't know what we're doing. I see all the other moms baking with their kids from scratch every day and going to all of the field trips and doing all of this and, like, the stay-at-home moms that bless your soul. Oh my goodness. You're a stay-at-home mom, you are a different breed of person. Like, all the kudos and, like, you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, truly. Some moms, their dreams and ambitions is, "I wanna be a stay-at-home mom and be the best absolute mom I can be." Absolutely amazing. I love that. And for me, I talk about this with my girlfriends, our biz besties, who were all, like, really high achieving, like, go, go, go goals, like we are here at KSW, and we all talk about if, like, I don't think I could be a stay-at-home mom, like, I don't think I could, but it's because you have different dreams and ambitions than another person. We're all allowed to have our own individual dreams and ambitions, whether it's staying at home with the kids, whether it's being a working mom who works at an office, whether it's being a self-employed, like, it's we live in this really beautiful time where we get to decide, but each one of those roles has its own set of difficulties.
I call that the identity tug of war. It's who am I now? Right? So, because we're wrestling with the shifts from that independent woman, like you were talking about, to, oh, I need to be a caretaker over here, especially when career dreams identity, when they're reshaping, or like, Katie, how many projects do we do a year? Like these things,
Because it's overwhelming.
yeah, or like we work at home. So some days we're like, I feel like I'm paw crawling my way to my desk. And I get there and I'm like, "Ooh," and then the first client comes on and I'm like, and hey, right? And my energy shifts.
I think that moms, get really good at wearing masks because we're taught from a very young age. Society teaches us that women should always have it together. We always present this, like, beautiful masked front, like, this is what we've been taught through generation society and years and years of evolution, and it's really only been in the last, like, mine and your generation where it's okay to not be perfect all the time, where we're showing that on social media, which is why we're doing this episode today. And it's the fact that we're just able to put on these masks and show up at the expense to our own mental, emotional well-being. And like Chris said earlier, is the mental load of being a mom, it is like running a marathon just in that. That's not even like the verbal parenting. This is that to-do list that I always tell my husband, I'm sure everyone out here is the same. They're like, if I kick the bucket before you, you're so screwed. Like, if I am in a coma next week, you are screwed because it's the invisible things that us moms do that nobody else sees. It's like, okay, my kids are growing out of their clothes. I need to order their next size of clothes. They have a play day on Friday. They have to wear this special shirt. I got to sign them up for this activity. Oh, I got to go and put all of these activity into the schedule. It's all of that mental load. Oh, I ran out of laundry detergent, got to add to that to the prime. And I look at my husband, I'm like, you are such an amazing husband, dad. Like, I am so blessed to have you. And you don't realize half the shit I do in a day that you have no idea about that makes this household run flawlessly.
Yeah, because somewhere in that book, women, in all fairness, we take on a load that we technically haven't been asked. We were never, Steve's never come to me and said, okay, I need you to do all this, Chris. Right. And then when it comes down to it, and he has like his weakness, and he's like, as he's like mopping the floor, because he does. He mops the floors, he vacuums the floors once a week, and he cleans our bathroom, and he does the laundry. Not the kids' laundry, we've got them doing their own, but our laundry and bedding. And I'm like, huh, check, 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 check. Right? I can see his task list. Those are time consuming. So I have to also warrant that. I can probably fill in 4 tasks into that timeline, right? So it's not about disqualifying what he does. But at the end of the day, it's like, have you dealt with the builder? Have you dealt with insurance? Have you dealt with the paperwork? We have a rental property. Have you dealt with that? Right. And now, in the last 3 years, when he's like, well, you just obviously take on too much. I'm like, open door. I said, yes, honey, I do. And here what? What can I do to help? Ladies, when you hear those words, what can I do to help? You have your list ready.
Frank, he coaches soccer and, assistant coaches hockey, so he's actually taking the kids. He deals with the sports, and even last night, I ended up having Frankie at home all day and a really busy day. I wasn't getting things done. I was panicked and I was feeling guilty because I wasn't paying attention to him. I was like, "Here's a tablet. See you later." Like, sit beside mommy while she works, and I started having that mom guilt, but again, I have all of this work to get done, and when Frank got home at 5 o'clock and I've already snapped at both of the children, and he's like, "You wanna know what? I'm gonna just take Frankie to soccer with me. I know I'm coaching, but we're gonna bring snacks and things, and we're gonna put him down." And I'm like, "Okay." because I just needed that time, and then I went on a walk by myself. I didn't bring a dog, I didn't bring a kid, and I actually never done this in 15 years. I really just needed that, like, space out of the house. Nobody was talking to me where I could just not think, and I wasn't being present with myself. I was listening to my favorite music. I was looking at nature. I was thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to live in such this, like, beautiful area where I can walk through the trees and the fields and everything." And I felt so much better by the time I got home that had I not done that, I knew I would have just been in a shitty mood the rest of the night. And who would have suffered? My family. Because then that's that mom guilt is when I've had a bad day, I've had a really stressful day because I obviously take on too much as we all like to do here, Chris, as you like to do too. My family gets the brunt of it, and I feel like it's not fair to them that they're getting the brunt of it. So I've really been one thing that I've really worked hard on this last year is reminding myself that self-care and self-love isn't selfish as a mom because you need to decompress. So if you're gonna like, I'm gonna go have a bath for 30 minutes, and I'm gonna lock the door, and nobody's coming in here. I'm gonna go on that walk by myself. I'm not taking a kid or a dog with me. I'm going to go to bed on time. I'm going to do something for me because when you are never doing those things for you, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you deserve to feel good. It is not selfish to do that.
And remember, whether the cup is half full, half empty, the point is it's refillable. Total mom struggles is Steve travels,
Yep, that's hard.
and I took out 2 meals from the freezer because I like to plow meals, like,
Mhm.
and put them in the freezer, and I'll do
Same.
extra. 2 of them on the stove, and
Oh, no,
I
I kn
hippity hopped my way up to bed and
you
la la la
forgot.
la la.
I hate when that
I
happens.
came downstairs, the meals are dead. I have nothing
Mm.
out. I really don't have a lot in the freezer. This is again, think about it, injured or not injured. Now I'm seeing how fortunate I am to have working limbs.
Yep, absolutely.
I
When you have
do
a limb
I
that
do
goes down,
not. I never took that for granted
you take it for
before.
granted.
However, I really do not take that for granted now, like the ease and feasibility to just even make eggs.
I have a rule in this house, and even the receptionist at the school knows this. I don't wanna be called unless there is blood, there is a broken bone, or somebody is not breathing. The 3 B's: breathing, blood, bones. Other than that, you're figuring like, you 2 boys, I don't care who touched the truck last. Figure it out. Problem solve.
It's to the point the school would call me and they'd be like, "Hi, Chris, it's Beatrice from XYZ." And I'm like, "Hey, Beatrice." She goes, I know you don't like me to say when, don't worry, there's not an emergency. So I'm going to cut to the chase, right? Like I'm trained, but you're calling me a lot. I have 3 kids. You're calling me a lot. So she'll be just like, hey, Chris, it's Beatrice. Tegan fell down. She bumped. We have ice. Do you want to speak to her or do you want me to do normally and send her back? I'm like,
Send
send
her
her
back.
back.
Good
And
back.
she's like,
Back to school.
"Okay," to the point where the receptionist would start to understand the parenting. So my kids would not go to the office and say, "I'm just not feeling well." I actually trained the receptionist and I'm not kidding. They would start to filter these questions to other kids. I would be like, "Okay, was this a sudden onset? Was there an issue? Uh, by the way, Beatrice, I just want to let you know I'm having company over early and they want to see them. So let them know the company hasn't showed up and ask them if they can get through the day."
Bless the receptionist, though. Like,
But they want it because it
oh
makes
my
their life,
gosh.
so she actually had a core foster of 4 questions she asked every kid, not just my kids. And
Filter. We're
she's
filtering.
like, I save myself so much time. And then there's some parents that want the call.
I get the call, like, she'll be like, "Hey, Kate, it's Paula." I'm like, "Hey, Paula." I don't even know. I know where you're calling from. And she's like, "Hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. This happened with Jackson. I sent her back to class." I was like, "Perfect. Thanks. Have a really lovely day."
Yeah, and they have to do it for due
Yeah.
diligence, so I
She's like, "I kn
appreciate that.
I knew you'd wanna send him back, so I sent him back."
Yeah, but I don't need to make a new career out of that because kids want to come home. They think it's glorious. The TV's here, all of these things. When my kids are sick, you don't get electronics. When my kids are sick, you don't get your phone. When my kids are sick, you need to be in your
You're
room. Here's
resting.
your water. Here's your rest. Right? Because I don't want to foster that. And people are like, oh, I could never.
Mm-mm.
Like
Set
parents have
boundaries.
said to me, how do you hold those? Like just a little smile on my kid's face. And I said, that little smile turns into a big grin and manipulation, and they foster your patterns. And how do I know this? Because I'm an only child. And what do? I have been watching people as part of my core gift for my entire life.
Yeah, and this is it. It's the boundaries. And that's the number one thing I took from my mom's parenting is if she said no, this is how it was. And it's the same with our kids. And remember, Chris, when I came over to your house a few months ago and Frankie was coming because he was home from school, but it was a school day still for Jack. And he had a meltdown in the morning trying to say his back was sore. And he's like, I can't go to school, mom. I'm gonna have to come with you." I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna sit in the car for 2 hours each way, 4 hours with your back sore?" He's like, "I'm just gonna sleep through it." Every time I've done something in parenting, because again, we've all done things in parenting we're not proud of, because 'cause we're not perfect, we're human beings. I always try to, like, what is the lesson I can learn for myself from how that went down? And then again, I will always talk to them after. I'm not just gonna, like, leave it and sweep it under the rug. And there's 2 other things I kinda wanted to touch on before we finish up is, number 1 is for the moms out there that you had a fertility journey. You dealt with infertility, you dealt with miscarriages, you dealt with IVF, you dealt with all of this. This is probably one of the biggest spots of guilt for me because I have had 4 pregnancy losses, 1 at 5 months, 1 at 13 weeks, and 2 at 6.5 weeks. And they were like I had a child, 2 losses, a child, 2 losses. And I sometimes get such severe guilt because I'm like, you snapped on your kids or you're too tired and you don't wanna play that book, don't wanna read with them. There's something in there that's making me feel guilty for not spending time with them. But you struggled so much with your fertility and you begged and pleaded and prayed for these children, and now you're busy working, they're on a tablet, whatever that shame I'm feeling of that day is, and, like, you see where I'm connecting this? So I actually feel a lot of guilt around not being a perfect parent and not spending, like, every waking moment with them because I've had these struggles and these fertility journeys. So I think anyone that's gone through fertility issues and has children, I think you get another level of mom guilt on it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, some people travel for work and they have guilt like that. I only child, I come from a lineage of self-employed, and I was a workaholic. And it's not even been to the last year where I've kind of put boundaries around it. And I'll still go and work or I'll get, I do other things. We know I do a lot of other things. But I was just like, do I want to? That's actually what the foot injury probably. Do I want to? How am I feeling? I got to check in. What's going on? Can I catch up? Because I feel like have to catch up, right? I have to catch up. I'm constantly, is it about catching up or is it that I do have time next week? And what's the goal? So I start asking myself questions and I start to answer them. And if I cannot come up with those answers, then I'm like, I'm gonna wait till I come up with the answers. So it's not glorified.
We are human beings as moms, and we need to give ourselves the space, the grace, the rest, the recovery. It's like when you're constantly pouring from that empty cup, we need to realize that it's not doing us any good, it's not doing our family members any good. So making sure that we take that time for ourselves, we start setting better boundaries, and again, those boundaries are gonna look different for somebody else. Like, for me, I've made that decision for, hopefully 90% of the week when my kids come home, everyone's home by 4:30, I'm shutting the laptop down, and I'm not responding to emails. Is there times and instances where that happens? Yeah, it happened last night. But it's reminding myself that I need to be setting these boundaries. As a workaholic, I need to shut the laptop down. I need to put my phone away when I'm watching a movie with the kids. It's like these things that I do and then remind myself that I don't need to be perfect all the time because I think in our society, Chris, is we see the perfect mom on social media every single day where it's like I wake up at 4 a.m. to get my workout in, and then I've prepped everybody's little snacks, and then I wake my kids up so gently and beautifully, and they wake up as lovely little angels. And then we're out the door and we have a glorious karaoke car ride to school. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Like, I was so tired. All slept in until 7:20. We're all trying to get out the door. I forgot breakfast. I don't know if the dogs got let out to pee. Like, it's so chaotic, and we have to remind ourselves that what we're seeing on Instagram isn't real life. It is a very curated picture of, like, here's my ideal morning routine. And are there moms out there, social media moms out there getting up at 4 a.m. and doing their workout? Love that for you. Love that for you. But I feel like that's not going to be realistic for a lot of parents out there and a lot of moms out there, and it's okay if it's not realistic for you.
If you're watching that and that doesn't resonate and it's giving you guilt, that's not your lifestyle. Why are you following this person just to constantly remind yourself that you're not good enough? Right? Like, it's different if it's educational and it's towards that goal. But is your goal to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Okay, why are you following them?
And I think a lot of times we see on social media, especially in the health and wellness world, there's a lot of whether it's 20 something influencers or even in their 30s and they don't have kids. And they're like, "Here's my 90-minute wellness routine I do for myself every single morning. You just need to find more time in the day for you." And I'm sitting there like, "Dude, like, 90-minute routine at 7 a.m.? Like, my kids, like, someone peed the bed, I'm changing sheets, so, like, I'm burning something on the stove, the dog's gotta get let out, I have to make a lunch. Oh, did that form get s" like, it's not realistic, I think, for a lot of people, so again, I always remind myself that I love that for them, the 20-something influencer without kids that works from home, but that's not my life, and we need to be creating a life that works for us.
You have to work, massage, and please do not forget you matter. If you are not part of the
Mhm.
equation, no wonder you feel exhausted. If you are giving up your soul and your sanity, and your soul is even going to those family dinners where you don't like the family, that is your soul. We all have a family member that kind of just, rubs us the wrong way or whatever. And fine, we tell ourselves, well, it's only for Christmas. How do you feel when you leave Christmas dinner? Are you on angst? Is there fights ahead of time? Because watch just your patterns, watch your behaviors. We can't control everybody around us and we're not asking. However, how you show up for yourself is going to be a different one. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to limit my conversations. I'm going to be cordial. I'm going to say hi, but I'm not going to engage in politics, religion, sex, money talks with this person because they're on high alert. And your philosophy doesn't have to be somebody else's, but you have to just appreciate the differences and move on.
This was a big episode. I feel like we could have talked another, like, hour and a half on this topic, so I think if you're sitting there listening, I would love, love, love for you to send me a DM at Katie Stewart Wellness on Instagram. I would actually really love to know your thoughts on this episode, your feelings, all of it. So send me a DM at Katie Stewart Wellness, and that was another episode all about being a mom in real life and that it's okay to not have your shit together every single day. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.